journey in any kind of small way. So I prepared a PowerPoint for you. As any good therapist, I have to teach you something or impart something to you because, you know, we have to do that. So, my mother-in-law and I, and she's here, she's in the back. I'm not going to have her come up here if I asked her. About 5 years ago, she and I had a crazy idea. Our family was hurting, and we didn't know how to help them. And we decided that maybe if we tried to help other people, that in the process of trying to help other people, that someone in the journey, someone along the way, we would get the help that we needed because we didn't know what to do. And we decided that we would start a nonprofit. Actually, we decided we'd do a 5K. And it turned into a nonprofit because I have to do everything extreme, and I can't just do one simple thing. It's just not possible for me. So we started a nonprofit in memory of my brother-in-law that had passed away from an accidental drug overdose. And you'll see his picture through the slides, and his candle is up here. And his name was Kirk. And I had never met Kirk, but I saw the hurt that had happened from his loss. And so I wanted to learn to love my family. I wanted to learn to love the addicts in my life. And I wanted to learn to let go of resentment and bitterness and hurt and loss. And the only way that I knew how to do that was to get out there and serve people and figure out, you know, how to love somebody in action. So we started this nonprofit, and I had all these ideas of what addiction should look like because I didn't know anything about Recovery Ally or Recovery Advocate or anything like that. I didn't know about all these great people that came up and spoke. I had no clue. I'm just a simple homeschooled girl from Oklahoma. Like, I did not know. And so we got out there and we started loving on people, and that changed us. So, how many of you today would say that you still struggle with concepts surrounding addiction? And I don't have a clicker. Bam! Next slide. Okay, here we go. What are your core beliefs about addiction? Core belief is a very therapeutic term. It means what you think on the inside of you, what you hold on to, what's truth to you. Some core beliefs might be true love conquers all, or good overcomes evil. A lot of times we have a lot of negative core beliefs. And I want to do a little Mythbuster series here on some of the negative core beliefs surrounding addiction. So that will be slide number 2. Addiction's a choice. I heard that a lot whenever I first started working in the recovery community. We don't need to donate to a nonprofit for recovery. They choose that. All they have to do is pull themselves up by their bootstraps and change. They should just say no. Another core belief is, if only I was a better parent. If only I had made different decisions. One, they have an addictive personality. They're just criminals. They're worthless. In our family case, the addicts have no quality of life. Just heartbreaking core beliefs. And then, if only I was a better mom, better parent. Go ahead, the next one would be, it's a disease. And that's one that I struggle putting on this slide because I know that that's a very common statement, even in the recovery community. It's a disease. But a lot of times when you think about a disease, it's like something you catch. It's something that, you know, oh, if I stand too close to you, I might catch your disease, you know, and it's so finite. They're broken. They're just broken people. Lost cause. I like to say that lost causes are the ones most worth fighting for. What we found when working with a lot of you in Douglas County and greater West Georgia and with our family was that behind that choice that we said, oh, they could just stop, they just choose this is the life they want. Behind that choice there was trauma, there was shame, there was guilt, there was hurt. And until you can process the trauma, until you can let go of the shame, until you can begin to focus on some of the pain, that it was no longer a choice, but it was a compelling drive. Another interesting thing that I found was that addiction was a cycle. And you could enter into this addictive cycle at any point on this wheel. You could enter into an addiction cycle because of abuse or loss. You could enter into this addiction cycle because of mental illness or poor mental health. Your lifestyle, the people around you, the people that influenced you, what happened to you in childhood, what happened to you even currently, purposefully, things could push you into this addiction cycle, and it would just compound every time it rotated around. Your loss, your shame, your guilt, your addiction, everything just compounded further and further and further. And so breaking the cycle, we talk about abuse cycles in therapy, and we all wonder why in domestic violence the victim just doesn't just walk out the door, just leave. It's a cycle, but they get trapped, and you get trapped in an addiction cycle. I know some of the most incredible people. Several of them are here today. Some of the most incredible people. But they entered at any point on the circle, and they couldn't leave. It's like that Hotel California. They just couldn't leave. And it wasn't a choice. And it wasn't because they were defective. It was because there was a cycle, and it compounded every time. If you've been to one of my classes, you've heard my theory. Your brain is like an airport. When you're young, your brain begins to grow and expand. You create relationships. You build terminals in your brain between love, kindness, holidays, relationships, sports, school, teachers, all the influences that you come into contact with. Build relationships in your brain. And you tie those relationships with other ideas because the information comes in like an airplane to its terminal, and your brain goes, oh, I need to reroute this information. I need to put it where it goes. And so it quickly redirects that plane right to its terminal. If you enter into a relationship and it's one that looks similar to what love looks like to you, it immediately gets transported into that love terminal, or purpose, or safety. But if you've experienced abuse, if you've grown up in a lifestyle of trauma and loss and grief and heartache, at some point the information comes in and you don't want to reroute it. You don't want that plane to land. You know what that looks like, and that looks like pain and suffering and heartache. And so you seek to avoid that pain. You seek to avoid that pain, and the first time you get offered a substance, it shuts down that terminal. And you build what's called a reward system in your brain. They define substance abuse as a brain disorder. It is based upon a reward system and pain avoidance in order to break apart each of these terminals that's built up in your brain. And this is interesting. I do a lot of work with women. And I love working with women. I never thought I'd like to work with women because women are just, catty, drama. They're incredible. And what I found with working with women is that when you experience love as toxic and abuse and hurtful and neglect, every love relationship after that has to have those elements in order for you to receive that as love. And you begin patterning your life after these hurtful experiences, because for you, that means love. And for you, that gratifies that shame and that guilt. Because guilt and pleasure actually live in the same part of the brain. So it actually compounds that, reinforces it, and it makes you accept it. And so breaking out of these patterns, daring to be different, stepping out into a life of recovery is terrifying. And it's almost like something you might want to reject because it's not normal to you. The dysfunction isn't there. So how do you break this cycle? How do you rewire a brain disorder? It takes time. It takes treatment. And your treatment might look like a Celebrate Recovery. It might look like a 12-step group. It might look like a therapist. It might look like a lot of different things. Barbie went over a whole list. And all of those I would call treatment. But it takes treatment. And it takes being kind to yourself as you begin to face and process the pain you've experienced in your life. And that's no small task. The good news is your brain can rebuild. You can fire up the generators and put some construction in those terminals and start living again. And airplanes don't always have to be horrific experiences. You can live again. You can learn how to love. You can learn to receive love, which is very different than the process of giving love. Receiving love is very different. But you can live again. And it's not a quick, one-time fix-all. Oh, I went to a recovery rehab for 6 months and now I'm all better. No, it's a daily process. It's a daily journey. So, the last concept, we've been challenging you on some concepts and some core beliefs. The last concept I want to challenge you on is this statement right here. To you is all life precious. I know we think children are precious. Small, innocent, loving, generally. Sometimes exhausting, but that's what kids are for. But what happens when they grow up and disappoint us? What happens when they do drugs? What happens when they break the law? Is their life still precious? What happens when they catch a felony? Like some people catch colds. Is their life still precious? I hope today that you've been able to hear something I've said and challenge yourself to love someone that you might think is a lost cause. To go out into the world and to find just one person that really needs to experience love. Because I will tell you, what you will find is that you needed the love more than they did. And if you would open your heart to the people that you so quickly judge, and you so quickly form resentments against, and you so quickly get annoyed by their existence on some level, that you would find that they were put on this earth to teach you a lesson, to open your heart. That's what I found. The Nichols Center has been, September 21st is our birthday, will be 5 years since we filed our paperwork to be a 501c3. We do some pretty cool stuff. If you've ever been to one of our events, thank you. We have some cool events. We do believe in building a recovery community. We've done some 5Ks. We have one coming up. It's a zombie run. You get to walk out in the woods and have creepy people chase you. It's really fun. But it's fun for some people, just not me. And then we've done a lot of events. So Barbie did a cool thing, have people stand up. If I know you, if you've been to a Nichols Center, if you know my mother-in-law, if you've been touched in some way by something we've done, just go ahead and stand, raise a hand, and say, see, I told you. So if you need help, if you're here and you need help, or if you're here and you want to join an event, or if you're here and you want to get involved, or give back, or donate, or sponsor someone in recovery in some way, write one of these phone numbers down. My private practice is up there. The Nichols Center is our nonprofit. The website's up there. My cell phone's up there. Just call me. We'll talk. We'll have coffee. Come over and see my chickens. Fun fact, guys, I have chickens. It's kind of crazy, but I do. But yeah, we'll hang out. I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to be a part of your journey and to learn how to love you, because you've taught me more about myself than I ever thought I knew. So thank you.